Now, when you started with NetDocs, if we rolled you out, we did a training like that with your specific data. This is generic data here, and there are people from other firms on this call as well. And some people might have slightly different setups, but I'll try to speak to that as we go through the different portions today. Before we start the training, I will do what we always do in all these webinars. We're going to go over any updates with NetDocs. We're going to go over any new webinars with Optiable, and then we'll go over NetDocs tips as well, and then we'll get started. So the way I will do that is, let's come down to, of course, slow. How do I know what's new with NetDocs? I just Google, let's do NetDocs web refreshes. There we go. NetDocs web refreshes. I misspelled everything when I did that search and it still worked. So, and then we'll see here, what do we got? June 19th. All right, so just some bug fixes here. June 5th, some bug fixes. And again, a lot of stuff here is just based off of NetDocs changing that 50 gigabyte limit. So not a lot of new stuff there. Let's come up to, we're at the web refreshes. Let's just come up to where it says announcements. All right, so end email 1.61 came out in 2000, May 28th, 2025, and an ND Office 4.2. This is the summer update schedule. You're Windows users if you're on this call. So I will be sending out next week an email to NetDocs administrators and IT professionals, like your IT companies, explaining these two updates, and I will probably schedule a webinar to go over them as well. Just because there is something new does not mean that any of you need to install it. I hope we all realize that. Like, I'm just letting everyone know this exists right now. Doesn't mean we need to install it. If you come here, there are always these update notes that tell you why these updates got released, and they do not auto update. The NetDocs web refreshes stuff in the actual web browser does automatically update. Okay, that automatically updates. Software installed on your computer, like ND Office, like ND Save, do not automatically update. So, and this is just being super slow. All right. Okay, I can tell you right now what is the new update in ND Mail 1.16. It's faster. Okay, so the only way I can tell you that is it actually should just work faster now. So it's really a speed update. But I'll have a detailed email going out on some new registry keys and what's new with ND Office 4.2 and the new version of ND Mail. Let's just come over to my web page real quick. If we come over to the events page here, you know what, this is being, let me pivot here and just go to my local computer. All right, let's come over to so much faster. The events page, we're doing Windows training right now. In 2 weeks, we have an office hour scheduled. That's anyone can ask me any questions about NetDocs. July 2nd, we'll go a webinar, 1 hour, all about versioning in NetDocs. And then we've got the AI Assistant, which is a new NetDocs tool, been out for a month or two. Some of you might have that July 9th, and office hours will end August 6th with some collab space training. What is new with NetDocs? I'll tell you this, last week we did a Mac training. Let me just do this. Secret of using NetDocs on a Mac. I know this is Windows training. Maybe none of you care, but after we did the Mac training 2 weeks ago, I updated every single one of these articles. Okay, they've all got new videos, they're all new refreshes, and I even put the training video here at the very end on how to use NetDocs on the Mac. Google for your Mac users the secret of using NetDocs on a Mac, and I kind of go over everything right here. So if we go to NetDocs tips, all these articles are Mac articles. We did that webinar on DLP, and then I did updated an article at ND Mirror and how to change a client or matter description in NetDocs. All right, let's see. Is this still super slow or did it speed up? All right, it's still super slow. So guess what? I'll just pivot and do this on my computer. Not a problem. So the advantage of being a NetDocs user is I could just use my own computer because it's set up the same way. So we're going to go over how to use NetDocs on a Windows computer. We will start saving a brand new document into NetDocs via Microsoft Word. Once we get done with that, we will talk about logging into NetDocs. I'll then talk about how to create a shortcut on your desktop for NetDocuments, and then we'll go over navigating, doing searches, and just moving around the system. We'll then switch to email. I'll talk about emailing stuff out of NetDocs. I will then go into Outlook. I'll save emails. I'll save email attachments. I'll send emails and save those into NetDocs. And I will end with some tips and tricks. There are no stupid questions. Okay, so at any point that you have a question, chat, Q&A, or raise your hand. I am on a Windows computer. I have opened up Microsoft Word on a Windows computer, all right? And there's another really important thing here. Bottom right-hand corner, I have ND Office installed, okay? And that is, of course, that's not going to stay up because this is not, I'm not remoted in, but it's this little square ND right here, ND Office. This is what I was talking about in the beginning of training. There's a new version, but for NetDocs to really work well on a really to work on a Windows computer, you have to install ND Office. Okay, and you're going to see why in a second. So I'm going to come over. I have my Word document. Now I'm going to come over to File, and I will click on Save As, and then I'm going to choose ND Save. When ND Office gets installed on your Windows computer, you can then have an ND Save in Word, in Excel, in PowerPoint, in Outlook. That's how we get all the plugins in there. So I'm going to click on ND Save, and NetDocs is going to pop open, and I have all of these different cabinets. Now, this is where this is a little different from when I did training for your firm. This is Optiable's NetDocs. It's not yours. With our mouse, I can come over and choose what filing cabinet I want to save my documents into. Now, I'm going to choose the client's demo cabinet. Notice as I switch cabinets, the options change. So I would just say this is 95% for most firms. They've got a client's cabinet. It is workspace based where you have to profile information. So over here, I've got to fill out this profile field. You can also have some cabinets like our library, which is folder based. This is just saving something into a folder. Those are the two types of organizations that we have in NetDocs: a workspace-based cabinet, which is almost always your client cabinet, and a folder-based cabinet, which is something like our forms cabinet. We've got like marketing material, forms, all sorts of stuff like that. It doesn't need to be super organized because we don't have a lot of documents in there. Clients cabinet, I want super organized. So I'm going to come over, select the client cabinet, and over here on the right-hand side, I've got to profile. Anything in red is required. Anything in blue is optional. So for these profile attributes that you have, the firm gets to decide, force everyone to fill this out or make it optional. I'm going to come over to the first one, client, where it says click to edit. I am going to click to edit. Now my little Grammarly thing will annoy me and get in the way. I'm going to come over to this box here. I am looking at my most recently selected clients for me. If I come over to the word all right next to recently selected, I am seeing every single client, and there's a little arrow to keep going over. I'm never opening up that list. I want you to see that if you come over to this little box and click, you can scroll through each client, kind of like Windows Explorer, but that's a little inefficient. I am just going to start typing in my client. So I'm looking for massive dynamic. I typed in massive, it came up. I'm going to type in dynamic, it comes up. You know what? I don't know the name. Now that's kind of funny, but I just know the number. Massive dynamic comes up. So as long as you know your client name or a client ID, you should be okay there. Once we fill in a client, we will need to come over to the matter. And in this case, I am going to open up this list here. And I'm seeing recently selected matters for this client. I will choose 103 general docket. A couple other things to point out here. Tab, if you're a keyboard person, will allow you to tab through all these fields. And F2 will pop them opened. All right. Doc type here, I'm going to choose correspondence. This is a doc type list that your firm came up with. And now I'm going to come over to the optional fields, okay? I do not have to fill these out. I think this is pretty much how most firms here are. They either have a client doc type or a client matter doc type, and those three are required. Other fields are optional. Comments here. Hopefully I'm not a jerk, but this is just pointing out that whatever comments you put here are only in NetDocs. They are not in the Word document. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of the fields blank. I'm not required to fill them out, and I don't need to do it really for the training today. I'm going to come over to the last thing I need to fill out, which is the file name. And once I fill that out, you'll see over here on the right-hand side that the save will be ungrayed. So we're going to come over here. Let's call this letter to Craig Bayer. And now the save on the right-hand side is ungrayed. I can hit save, and this document is now getting saved into NetDocuments. Now let's see here, Q&A. Can we get access to this recording in case for reference at a later date? Everyone that signed up to this will get a copy of this recording. And this will be better than the last recording where it was kind of split half and half. So yeah, everyone's going to get a copy of this. Honestly, this is why I do these, is so I have an up-to-date recording I can send to people. So I try to do this once or twice a year just to get up to date because NetDocs has changed. We have saved our first document into NetDocs. Now there's a key indicator, there's two, and over here, it's really hard to see, but I actually see the NetDocs ID in the name of my document now. That's indicator one. I saved this to NetDocs. Next indicator, up. I need to come over to ND Office, which is this square thing right here. You see when we talk, there's a new version of ND Office available. I usually, when we set up ND Office, we don't let people update because it'll brick their system. Usually your IT person needs to do this, but I just wanted to point that out. We're going to come over to the gear here. And then I'm going to come over to settings. I think some of you know where I'm going. We have an ID stamp in NetDocs. Mine is set to footer every page except the first page, meaning the first page of my document will not have the stamp, but each subsequent page will. The other options are footer every page, last page, or none. I'm going to move this to footer every page so you can actually see the footer. So let's make some small changes. I'm just going to hit save. Now I think I have to do a save as. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, so there's the footer right here. I didn't even have to do a save as. So in the footer, we put the NetDocs ID. Some people love this. Some people freaking hate this. Okay. I just showed you, and I'll show you again, that can be turned on or turned off, but really, we find it best if it's a firm decision. Like everyone on the firm kind of should be on the same page. The reason we have this, and let me just jump over into my NetDocs now, is when I take this actual number and I paste it right here in the simple search toolbar and hit search, it brings me directly to my document. That's the reason we have a NetDocs ID, is if you send something to someone and they send it back to you, you're like, where did it come from? It makes it super easy to search. Now, because I'm doing this training, I can get it a little more in depth because it's my generic database. So we're going to come back to the bottom right-hand corner. You need to have ND Office installed. We'll click on the gear and then settings. And under ID stamp, we have footer every page. Footer every page except first. This is the one that doesn't mess up letterhead. That's why I use it, because we have letterhead. Last page, notice it does not say footer in here. It's at the end of the last text, and then none is no footer at all. We're going to leave this on footer every page. And then I'll forget to shut it off and I'll mess up my letterhead, but that's okay. All right, we have this document. We have saved it into NetDocs. I showed you where it is. In NetDocs, and we're kind of jumping ahead here because we haven't gone over to get in yet. I'm going to come over here and point out there is a 1 here. There is one version of the document. In Word, we'll make some more small changes, and I'm just going to hit save or Control S. If we come back here, it is still 1, still version 1. Saving a document, okay, just overwrites it. But NetDocs is a legal document management software. All legal document management softwares have something called version control. I'm going to make some big changes instead of some small ones. I am not going to hit save. I am going to do a save as. We are going to go through this about 3 or 4 times. When I click save as here, NetDocs is going to pop up. Bottom right-hand corner, I will click save. When I get through this versioning section, and when I get through all these sections, I will go through and answer the questions. Let's jump into NetDocs. I'm going to come over to Documents Recent. Here is our letter to Craig Bayer, and you're noticing here, there's a number 2 here. You can see my firm, we're heavy version people. We use versions all the time. I'm going to open up the 2 here. All right, so we have a version 1 and a version 2. You're really into versioning, remember July 2nd, we have that versioning webinar. It's an hour of me going into more detail. If I click on version 1, I can open up that document. So you can open up all the previous versions. Let's do this again. So we're on version 2. We want to make version 3. We will do a save as, version name. I'm going to put this client changes description removed last paragraph. All right. So we're creating version 3 now, and I'm going to hit save. I'm going to jump into NetDocs, which is a web page. We will come over to Documents Recent. Now notice our letter to Craig Bayer has a 3 here. Let's open that up. Version 3, notice client changes as the name, and the comments about version 3 or description removed last paragraph. I really think you should take advantage of this when you're doing that save as. You can give the version a name or comment so when people are going through, they know why that version was created. Other thing I'll point out here, we do get created by, last modified by, and a date and time as well. Let's come back to our Word document. Now, we're on version 3. We see the V3 here. We would see it at the top as well. We want to take this amazing document and use it some other place. When we do save as, the problem is NetDocs wants to create version 4. Everything on the right-hand side is completely grayed out. NetDocs wants you to create version 4. Bottom left-hand corner under Save As New Version, let's uncheck it, and then look what happens on the right-hand side. We can now save this document to another location, the traditional Windows Save As. Now I'm going to stop here and let's go to the Q&A. Okay. So I answered that about the recording here. Is there a way to make Word to make the full ID visible in the Word tab when it's minimized? Well, that's a great question. That would be, so you see it here, but when it's minimized down here, if you put your mouse over it, it is telling me. I don't know if you can see that. It's saying letter to Craig Bayer V3. The tabs only show part of the doc ID and not all the way. I mean, Word tabs, I'm not as, I guess there's a way to do tabs in Word, but I'm not as familiar with that. I know there's tab browsing, but if I am coming down here to Word, it is, let's see, how did I do that again? That's what I think you're talking about. You're only seeing it there. If you move your mouse over the name right here, you will see the V3. That's unfortunately probably the best I can do for you. Now I'm gonna show you some extra stuff, or lanyap, as we say in Louisiana. So people, especially people that came from a previous illegal document software world docs, have some issues with the doc ID here. First off, they want to remove the doc ID because they're turning this into a PDF or something, but delete. Okay, well then when they do save as and they save the document again, look what comes back. Okay, they're like, is there a way to block the doc ID for just one document? So we have the little remove stamp option I just clicked on right here, which bumped the stamp off. And then even when I save it, there is no stamp. Okay, so again, I want to add a little extra to these trainings to show you some other stuff. So let's Google enhanced. Now, I got to be very clear here. I'm not a software developer, nor do I want to be a software developer, but when we have opportunities, we try to make NetDocs a little bit better. So we got someone to build this macro. Here's the second thing. I hear it after all my trainings. Craig, why do you have that like remove stamp, add stamp, remove version? How did you get that? We created a macro. All right. You should not just do this. All right. This is something I'm putting the instructions here in the chat. Okay. I Googled enhanced NetDoc stamp. Take a look at this. Talk with your IT professional. Test it out on a computer. But what the enhanced stamp does is it allows you to remove the stamp for a document, add the stamp back. So especially if you have a one-page document, I think in this instance, I got to hit save. Yeah, and then it gets it back. Remove the version. So some people are like, I don't want them to know it's version 4. Will that remove the version? Change the font. Unfortunately, you got to change it every single time. There was not a way to universally change the font, or not a way that we're aware of. Other thing I'll just add here, if this is not good enough, Big Hand has an advanced stamping options with NetDocs as well. Or, the enhanced stamp is something the freebie that we just built. Other thing I hear from people all the time is, Craig, how do you have the save and save as here? Like, what about NetDocs did that? Nothing about NetDocs did that. This is the quick access toolbar. I customized the quick access toolbar to work well for me since I use NetDocs. So what yours is probably above the ribbon right here. So your quick access toolbar probably sits above the ribbon right here. And what I did is come over here, click on this thing, and I said, hey, show this below the ribbon. That way we get the save. Well, we get it looking like this. Then I went over here, more commands, and I found the save as and open and dragged them over here. So if you go through this, you see all the commands. I save as, dragged it over, put them in this order. That way I can basically move through NetDocs and Word with reduced clicks. So I have to click a lot less than a lot of new NetDocs users do because I customized all the software to work really well with NetDocs. Last thing here, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but let's do this. How to get NetDocs to pop when saving, in Word. So let me throw this in the chat as well. There's a configuration in Word that you can make. So when I hit save or save as, NetDocs just comes opened. That is in the chat as well. I'll just go File, bottom left-hand corner options, and under Save, I checked don't show the backstage when opening or saving files with keyboard shortcuts. When you check that off, it automatically just pops into NetDocuments. Now let's come over here. All right. All right. Now we're in Word. I'm going to click on review here. Some of you know this. Honestly, some of you probably don't. Word has a comparison tool, lets you take two separate Word documents and let you see what's different about them. NetDocs uses that tool, okay, but we have to click on ND compare to get to that tool. So I'm going to click, and I see someone's raised their hand, and I will jump to them in a second, but I'm going to click on ND compare. And this is going to allow me to take this version 4, come down to the bottom right-hand corner, and I can compare this to a different document. I will let you know within the last year, NetDocs did an update to allow you to compare a Word document to a PDF or a Word document to a Word. You used to not be able to do the PDF. They added that in about a year ago. I know that was a frustration with some people. But I'm going to click on letter to Craig Bayer, and I want to compare version 4 to version 1. Now I'm going to hit open. The last thing I'm going to point out here is we need to change the order. So version 4 is the original. Let's click on that arrow. Let's make version 1 the original, version 4 the revised document. And then we have the word comparison. You can save this as a version. You could save it as a new document. All right, for whoever has the question, I'm allowing you to talk. You are muted. Messiah, you can now ask your question. You will have to unmute yourself, though. All right, you're unmuted. But I'm not hearing anything from your microphone. So you might have to type it in, what you're looking for. Give you a second. Okay, that's fine. All right, no question there. All right, so we'll say we answered that. All right, does anyone on this call have any other questions about saving a brand new Word document into NetDocs? All right, let me come over to Adobe. Adobe is a little bit different. So let me open up Adobe. I'm not going to do this in Excel and PowerPoint and everything because I don't think there's a reason. Let me open up this document here. All right, in Adobe, File, Save As. Do you notice that my NetDocs just popped open? A lot of you using Adobe, you do not have that. You have to click choose a different folder. How to get NetDocs to automatically pop when saving in Adobe. Let me paste this in here. All right. File. And we're going to come over to our edits. It's always edit, preferences. And I'm going to do this under general. We are unchecking show online storage when opening and saving files. This is under general in Adobe. And this will allow Adobe to automatically pop when you are going to save a PDF. All right, part 1 is done, saving a brand new document into NetDocs. Now, let's move to talk about logging into NetDocs, and we'll make this confusing because it's a little confusing. And I'm going to assume that you know the answer. So here's a little blog article. I cannot log into NetDocs. When we first roll out firms, this is the issue that a lot of them have. 70 to 80% of you are using something called single sign-on. meaning you're logging in to NetDocs via your Office 365 credentials. If you're in the United States, this is the web page you're using to log in. If you're in the Canadian data center, this is the web page you're using to log in. If you're logging into NetDocs via your Office 365 account, you need to click Need Login Assistance. I want to use my organization's login. You're then going to put in your email address. And for most of you, you will just automatically log into NetDocs, okay? But these are for the 80% or less of my firms that have single sign-on turned on. We turn it on because once you do this once, you should just stay logged into NetDocs the whole time, and you don't have a separate NetDocs in an Office 365 or Windows account. You have one account. That's why they call it single sign-on, one sign-on. If you don't have this, you will put in your work email address and your NetDocs password. If you don't know your NetDocs password, this is where you will use, I forgot my username or password. Then you will type in your email address and NetDocs will send you a link to log in. I don't know your NetDocs password, nor will I ever know your NetDocs password. So that is the process. When we set up new firms, we started doing this maybe about 4 years ago. We ask your IT company to whitelist the NetDocs email address. So when you get an email from NetDocs, it does not go into spam. So if you've had those issues not getting emails from NetDocs, you got to whitelist that address. Now, there's two places to log into NetDocs. ND Office, okay, which is right here, and the web page. And if you're using single sign-on, once you log into NetDocs once, you should be good to go. Now let's look at my computer right here. Oh, good. I don't even have it. This would be perfect then. All right. So I am in Google Chrome. I've logged into NetDocs. I'm on my home page. I know this because there's a picture of a house and it says home. What I want to do is create a shortcut on my desktop to log into NetDocs. 3 dots right here. Come down to Cast, Save, and Share. And I'm going to choose Create Shortcut. And I will just call this NetDocs. You know what? I'll even use the abbreviation. NetDocs and hit Create. All right. So now on my home page, there's a little NetDocs thing. So when I come in the morning, I just click on that and I am in NetDocs. Of course, we got an article for that. So how do I create a NetDocs shortcut on my desktop? Unfortunately, I kind of know a workaround to get it to work in Firefox, but I can do it in Edge and Chrome really easy. Instructions here are in, first off, how I did it in Chrome and how I do it in Edge, and just realize these jerks are always changing everything. So all my instructions are always out of date, but I try to keep those up to date. Now, let's just see, what is my, I've even lost, well, the training computer is completely dead now. I think that one is, I don't know where that is. Anyway, forget about it. So my training computer's dead, so we're just doing this off my computer. Fun. All right, so we're in NetDocs on the home page. Now, to get to that area where we just saved documents, since it was in the client cabinet, I'm going to come over to this orange Go to a Matter. All right. Your client related documents are always like this. Now, it might not say go to a matter. It might say go to a file, go to a client. Maybe you don't even have a matter, go to a customer. Those are all customizable. And the other important thing that you're going to notice here is there is a drop down. So you could have multiple cabinets. I have two workspace-based cabinets in my setup, my client's cabinet, which is real client work, and client's demo, which is the demo cabinet where I've been saving everything. So we're going to do the opposite of what we did when we saved the Word document. I'm going to type in massive dynamic. Now, you didn't see this, but there's only one matter for massive dynamic. Therefore, it just chooses the matter. If there were two or more matters, I would need to select a matter. But in this case, it went right to that matter. We are in what is referred to as list view for this matter. There's 1,290 items. We're looking at it by last modified date. There's the letter to Craig Bayer. It is opened on my desktop. The reason I know it's opened is because there's a green check mark here. So what I'm going to do is come back to letter to Craig Bayer, and then I am just going to close it. All right. And then I will hit refresh just so you can see this. There is no longer a check mark there anymore. The document has been checked back in. If I want to open it, I click on the name of the document. It opens up with a green check mark. Green means you have it opened. Gray means someone else has it opened. If your documents are downloading instead of opening up, you have an issue, you need to contact NetDocs tech support or your IT people based on whatever rules your firm has. I'm going to close this. Document is checked back in. List view is a list of every single document in the matter. And you do see here I have all these column headers. I am also doing training on my laptop. So maybe on my regular work big screen, I would see all these column headers. The laptop, it is kind of condensed. You can move around and drag stuff around. The other thing that you can do here is change the order. All right, so I'm going to come all the way over to the right. Now realize that the Zoom screen might be blocking this, but there is a gear here. If I click on the gear, here are all of the column headers I have, everything that I can choose. And so, and I've got a lot of stuff here. I mean, I'm a NetDocs nerd, so that's not shocking. I want to move the total versions right next to the name of the document. So I drag that up. And now when we look over here, name, then total versions. So you can customize these columns. You're customizing them only for you. If you're working in NetDocs, you're like, why is the author column not showing up here? Click on the gear, add the author column. You can even choose what order you see it in. Any of the columns you click on, you will resort it to, so I'm looking at this in alphabetical order, ascending or descending. I can search modified date. By default, created date doesn't show up. I had to add it. That's why I'm seeing it here. So you can sort by all these column headers here. All right, we are in list view. The other amazing thing here, especially with a large file like this, I'm going to come over to the filter and I'm going to say, you know what? Just show me the documents. All right, boom. There are just my documents. Now, what's even better is just show me the email. This is anytime you're in list view. Well, not only is it showing me the email, look what it did to the headers. So I'm seeing the subject, the email date, who the email was from, and who the email was to, which is much better than the document view when I'm looking at emails. When I go back to documents, I do not care about a last modified or created date when I email. I care about the email date. Now, the question I get every once in a while, but I don't really go over this when I do the training. If I click on email right here, there is a refine search option. What does that do? I never cover this in your trainings. Um, this is like basically doing an advanced search, and we're going to do that in a second. So when we do that, we get all this filter stuff over here. So who was this stuff created by? Okay. Who was it last modified by? Who are the authors? What emails have attachments versus don't? File extension. So I'm looking for a PDF. I'm like, oh, well, let me just hit this and then apply. Now, for this matter, I'm only seeing the PDFs. So that, and we'll come back here, is when you click on the filter refine search when you're looking at a matter, really lets you break it down by doc type, author, created by, modified by, all that good information. Now, for those of you on here that know, there are two views. There's a list view. There is also a summary view. Summary view is the organizational view. I'm seeing everything organized by save searches, by folders, and filters. I think when we're in summary view, we have to talk about the organizational stuff because I often get questions. It's like, Craig, there's no folders on this. And I'm like, well, you don't have folders in your system at all. So what are you talking about here? So let's talk about the three different ways a matter is organized when you are in summary view. Anything with the magnifying glass is a save search, okay? Anything with a yellow folder is a folder, and anything that's blue, that's the name of your doc type, is a filter. Save search, folders, filters. That's the correct made up NetDocs terminology. So we'll look at the save search. The first one, recent documents. We add these to all of ours, and I think most NetDocs consultants do. So when you go to a workspace, recent docs, this is any document that has been created or modified in the last 14 days. Recent emails, any email saved in the last 14 days. Now, I kind of added a whole bunch of other stuff here, and this is especially when I'm going and talking about workspace design and things like that. My emails, this changes depending on who is logged in. So if Milika's logged in, she sees her emails. If I'm logged in, I see mine for this matter. Milestone, we have, when we save a document, if we say yes to milestone, it shows up there. All documents and emails is just basically a list view of all documents and emails. If you've gone to my set builder class, the reason we have it is because we're using set builder. Documents filed with the court. So we have a place to mark if a date a document was filed with the court, and they show up here. In collab space, any document that has been shared externally, and then deleted items, anything that's been deleted. These are save searches we have customized for our matters. Probably all don't have them. I don't know if I would use all of them. I use it when I'm teaching people about how to design a matter. And then we have folders. Expert folder, okay, pleadings folder. And this is the part that I think gets a little confusing, especially if you're brand new to NetDocs. Pleadings, we have a filter too, but we also have a folder. All right, the pleadings filter is just a list of everything coded to pleadings. If I go into the pleadings folder, I can get pretty granular. So I've got amended pleadings, answers, docs, motion after trial, pretrial motion. Everything in here should, except this, which I'm going to bump off. Get out of here. Everything in here should be coded to pleadings. Get rid of these two more. File. Thank you. So they exist in the pleadings filter, but I can also go into this folder and see them here. in my opinion, the best NetDocs are a combination of filters and folders. Not everything needs a subfolder, but usually discovery, experts, and pleadings need folders underneath it. That's why we create these folders. And I don't know, in the past like 4 or 5 years, NetDocs added something called folder packs where you could, when you create a new matter, set up these different folders. But this is summary view of NetDocs. And again, there's a button underneath the word overview that lets us go into list view versus summary view. Now, someone, let me just see here, I think raised their hand, but you might have lowered your hand. Did anyone have a question there or not? All right, let me come back to the home page and I want to go over something that I'm bad about doing. Some of you just have one cabinet in NetDocs. Others have multiple cabinets. I have multiple cabinets. How do I get to those? Let me circle the line right here. And here is my navigation showing my different cabinets. If I click on the thumbtack here, it will keep this navigation pane opened. Now for my client related cabinet, I'm going to come over to the orange go to matter, and that's how I'm going to get to those documents. But like for my admin cabinet, I'm clicking on the triangle. Here's everything in the admin cabinet, and I am one other person or the only people that can get into it because it's got like financials, taxes, rent, salary, stuff like that. I want to keep that locked off. Again, these are all customized. Library, everyone at my company has access to this. Our marketing material, presentations, our firm operating manual, running on something called EOS, all our forms. And then NetDocs, what's our cabinet with all our NetDocs training materials. So set builder, collab spaces, everything like that. And then we do have a prospects cabinet. So if you're interested in NetDocs, I don't have a client or matter for you yet. So we have a separate cabinet where we create a folder, put the Smith Law Firm, I track all of our correspondence. And then when you sign with us, we create a client and matter for you, and we move everything from the prospects folder into your workspace. That way I know everything that I promised to do. So you can have multiple cabinets. And again, the way that we got to them, the 3 lines, top left-hand corner. And then if you click on the triangle next to the cabinet name, you're going to see the folders. Now for clients dash demo, this is the cabinet that we're working in. If we click on the triangle, we'll see recent matters and we'll see favorite matters. This is, I would say, a little bit like the Windows Explorer view, where if I then click on this, you are seeing all the collab spaces, folders, and filters, and it's an interesting way to then navigate into stuff. All right. Any questions about navigating a matter in NetDocuments? Let's jump into the search. Now there's 2 big searches that we do in NetDocs, the simple search and the advanced search. Up here is the simple search bar. We are searching and it tells us in the matter that we're in. So anything that we type in here is only in this matter. There is also an advanced search, which we'll go into next. So if I'm here, I want to search for anything that has the word planning in the name. I would type in planning, and we've got name checked off here. When we hit search, we have 2 items that have the word planning in the name, and they're emails. I'm going to do this again, planning, but I'm going to change this to everything. Everything is the text and file search. So besides looking at the name of the document, we will also be looking in the actual body of the document. So hit search here. There are 69 items that have the word planning there. So this right here does not have planning in the email, the name, it's got it in the body. When you do a search like this, if we check the box here, I'm going to come over. You got to check the box. You got to open up our details pane, and under the preview, it should preview the email and show us the text. Of course, it's not going to work. Let's do view in browser. View in browser is better anyway. If you right click view in browser, although there could be something about this email itself. You know what? Let's get out of the email because they're just being weird. Let's come over here, right click view in browser. All right. Here's the document here. And then if we go through it, you can see the document. So there's a way of previewing these things before you open up. Again, this was the simple search where we're just coming over here and we're searching in whatever matter we're in. Let's jump into the advanced search. We'll get that by clicking on the three dots right here. This is what makes NetDocs amazing. We're searching first off what cabinet, doc ID, everything name and subject. Some of you are like, hey, our NetDocs advanced search is laid out completely differently. Over here, top right-hand corner, this gear will let you change the order of this advanced search. Let's come over to everything, type in the word case, hit enter. And we are looking for, and through the entire NetDocs, for anything that has the word case in the actual name. Now that is taking way too long. It's usually around 3 seconds, but we got 603 items that have the word case in the actual body themselves, like right there, right there, right here. It's just showing us where it found it. Now let's see if my preview is working here. Right click, view in browser. Come on, preview. All right, I'm just poking the bear here because I know it's not working. Let's come over to, let's right click, view in browser. All right, there it is. Now, because we did this from advanced search, it has the word case. Anytime it finds it, there's 3 examples of the word case, and I can use the arrows here to go through the documents to find them. All right. Come back to advanced search by clicking on the 3 dots. Under everything, let's type in the word case, capital A and D, and then the word island. We're looking for everything that has the word case and island in it. A Boolean search. How do I know I can do it? Because it tells me right here. So this is going to bring up everything that has the word case and island. Now this would take usually around 4 seconds. Again, like I said, it's a little slow today. So we have 1,211 items that have the word case and island in them. We've got all these Excel sheets. What else do we have here? Oh, we're also switched to the wrong cabinet. So let me hit revise. So let's go back to the client demo cabinet and not my real client cabinet. All right, let's see how many. Oh, we have 11 items that have the word case and island in them. It's Excel sheets, PDF, stuff like that. I'm going to come over now. You should get a copy of the NetDocs training manual, which I do not have opened because it was on my other computer. Let's just open it because it's important here. So I'm going to come over to my cabinet NetDocs. I'm going to come over to, where is this? NetDocs DM. and then let me open up this, and I'm going to come over to around, I think it's page 63. Let's see, 63. Okay, here, yeah. All right. So searching in NetDocs, let's just go over a couple of things real quick. I want motion for summary judgment altogether. I want the phrase motion for summary judgment. You're going to put quotes around it. Every document that has Smith and cancer and diagnosis would do a capital A and D. Administrator or administratrix. It'll have one or the other or both. Not can't have this word in it. And wildcard search we'll go over in a second. That's the asterisk right there, Shift 8, and a proximity search, IBM within 4 words of HP. Those are the main Boolean search operators that I see people use. Now, if we come back into the search in NetDocs, I need to change this to my client demo cabinet. We'll get rid of this cabinet here. Like for name, I'll do MEM and then Shift 8, the asterisk there. Let's do a search. I got member, memorandum, memo. All 3 of those words started with MEM. Revise here will reopen up the search, and I could add more stuff to this. Like, oh, I know that I'm looking for a Word document. So now I'll hit search. And now we have 10 items. Okay. Now over here on the left-hand side, by the way, we get our Amazon-like window. What clients were these in? What matters were they in? What doc types were they? So you get the ability to filter. We went over that when we were looking at the matter itself as well. Search for me, I mean, it's the bedrock of NetDocs. Make sure you're on the right cabinet. By the way, if you click on your firm name, you'd be searching all cabinets. So you can do that as well. We want to just be looking at that client demo cabinet. All right. Doc ID is the NetDocs ID. Everything is everything. Comments field, body of the document, name of the document. Name/subject is the name of the document or subject line of the email. Comments, anything you put in the comments, including the word jerk. All right. A lot of people think I'm a jerk here. Comments are text searchable. Revise will jump me back into this. When was it created? When was it modified? Who created it? Who modified it? And then file extension. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a PowerPoint. All right, so then I just have PowerPoint selected and I hit search. Here are all the PowerPoints. Now, other thing I will just point out before we move on search, I'm always on the all. I can switch it to the email search. This changes my options here. All right, what did we add? Who was the email from? Who was the email to? Who was CC'd on the email and what was the email date? And maybe more important, I need to find something with attachments. So usually when I'm looking for an email, there might be an attachment involved. We also have just a document only search. This will filter out all the email results. All right, we are out of advanced search. Let's talk about adding documents to NetDocs. And what I'm talking about here is adding documents that, let's say, are on my desktop, like these documents right here. How would I get these into NetDocuments? I am going to click on the Add button, which is right here, and choose Upload. Now, this is great to add documents. Okay, so I'm going to come here. Now it won't let me add folders. So I'm going to have to come in here and grab these. All right. And then I need to choose which cabinet they're going to. And then the more important thing over here is when you're doing this, import mode. If you leave it on move, it will delete it from your computer once they're uploaded. If you leave it on copy, it will leave it on your computer. So I'm going to switch it to copy and then hit OK. Add upload and allow you to upload up to 150 documents into NetDocs. Next thing I'm going to have to do is profile. So I'm going to come over, choose a client. I'm going to choose a matter. I'm going to choose a doc type. Now I am hoping these are all agreements on that matter. There is an option here that would let me profile them all separately. I don't think you want to see me profile all these separately, so we'll profile them all at once, but I want you to know that option exists. All right, all 5 of those documents are being uploaded. Add upload up to 150 documents. What I'm about to show you, and in fact, I'll show you this too in training here. If I don't want these anymore, I could select all of them, more, delete. And I'll just hit delete here. Now these are just going into the recycle bin, and maybe we'll go over that in training, but you can remove stuff. Starting this year, some of you are using a tool called the NetDocs folder import tool. It was a separate tool we had to install on your computer. NetDocs built that in to ND Office. So when I send this article out about to your IT people and your NetDocs admins about the new ND Office, one of the things is this right here, this option right here, which allows you to upload things. Now I've got mine in the advanced mode. I'm going to come over to new here. How does this actually work? I want to get this folder with all the subfolders in the NetDocs. I'm just going to drag and drop it. All right, and then select destination. I'm going to come over and I'm going to choose the massive dynamic general docket matter. Doc type here, we'll just choose invoices and then select. We're going to upload these 41 files and all the subfolders into NetDocs. Latest version of this tool, 4.2, 30,000 documents. File size limit, if you change your NetDocs, up to 50 gigabytes. So it's pretty darn powerful to get stuff into NetDocs. If we jump over matters recent in NetDocs, these are the last 20 matters I've been in. Oof. Everything's slow today. Let's go to massive dynamic. Notice now there is a billing folder here, and it mimics the billing folder I have on my desktop. So that tool there lets you get everything in there. How did we get to it? We went over to ND Office, and then we're on this, instead of here or here, we're going to come over to this cloud picture with an arrow pointing up, and that will let us bring things in. Other thing I just want to talk about again, because people forget, if you're going to do go to matter, the arrow here will let you look at any other workspace-based cabinet. If we come over here to the navigator, we'll see all of our cabinets. So if you have different cabinets in NetDocs, that's how you get to them. Also, where it says hi Craig, and then we go to settings, under account information, you get to choose what you want your default cabinet to be. All right, let's see. And if it isn't working, it's okay. But I want to see if my training computer has somewhat resolved. I have a feeling that there's an internet issue at my office today because it's not just NetDocs. Everything just seems to be super slow. Yeah, it's not just NetDocs. All right, so while we're doing that, I'm going to come over here. Let's see. Does anyone have a question? If you did, will you raise your hand again? I think I saw a hand go up, but then it went down. All right, let's just see here. All right, let's see if this training computer comes back up, and let's see if it's... All right, Edith, I unmuted you while this is going on if you have a question. You know, unmute yourself and ask. All right. Or not, type something in there. Let's go over email. If the training computer gets super sluggish, we'll just bump off of it, but I don't like to do email when it's in my inbox. Oh, this might be super sluggish. Let's come over to NetDocs. All right, let's start here, then we'll come back in here. All right. We're going to start in NetDocs, then we'll move to Outlook. All right, first thing, let's come over to List View. I want to email these 3 Word documents to someone. I did not check on the name of the document. I used the checkbox. The checkboxes are there to select stuff. If you click on the document name itself, it will open up. Let's click on email copy. Oh yeah, let's close this. Email copy. Now, email copy is external. It's taking these 3 Word documents and downloading them onto my computer. You know what? We'll send these to myself just so we have an example here. That's email copy. Email link is internal, okay? Email link right here. I've selected this document. I'm going to click on email link. Only someone who works at my law firm is going to be able to open this up. But this is the proper way for you all to collaborate with each other. Email link, it's internal. When I click on open, it will go directly into NetDocs and it will open up that document. All right. And then we have this one, Dropbox for NetDocs. I've selected all these documents. More, deliver a secured link, the 3rd option. We do that, we select everything. Now we've got a lot of options here. First one, password protect. Tax return, bank account information. This allows you to put a password on it before it goes out. If you want a password, you would enter it twice and then call the person up and tell them the password. If you don't want a password, uncheck require password and don't put in a password. By default, link will expire 1 month from today. If we remove it, there is no expiration date. Now, once I have everything set up, I would just hit send at the bottom right-hand corner. And then we are taking everything and we're putting it in a link. Now, there are no file size issues here, okay? Because it's just links to everyone. It's not actual documents. So you would be able to send it to everyone. So email copy, external, outside of the firm, email link internal inside of the firm, and deliver a secured link external outside of the firm. Let's jump into Outlook. All right, I'm going to click on this document right here. Well, no, let's do create a new email. That's what we want to do. And I want to grab attachments. Now I am going to use the ND attach right here. I am not going to use the paperclip. Paperclip right here is working locally. This is allowing me to look into NetDocuments. Let's see, do I have my demo cabinet? Yeah, there we go. All right, so now what I am going to do is click on ND attach. And then NetDocuments is opening up, showing me my most recently selected documents. Go to Workspace is going to allow me to open up a certain matter. And over here, 3 dots, Advanced Search allows me to search anywhere in my NetDocs to find what I'm looking for. I have my same kind of options, so let me select these items right here. I'm going to insert them as an attachment. By the way, I use the control key to select multiple items there. And now we will hit insert. And those 4 items are being downloaded and thrown into document. ND attach allows you to go into NetDocs and grab documents. These are going in as copies. I'm going to click on edit. Best feature of NetDocs. I can select all or some items, like I just selected this Word document, hit the checkbox and hit OK. What does the checkbox do? It converts that Word document into a PDF file. It is not converting it into a PDF file in NetDocs. We are only converting it to a PDF file for email purposes only. What else can we do here with the edit button? Change the name of everything. We are not changing anything in NetDocs. This is only for email purposes. So I got rid of all the names there. What's the last thing we can do with edit? Drag and drop to change the order. So now they're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit OK. We are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, did I do that right? Oh, no. All right, now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Ugh, there must be a bug there. It's not changing the order. Oh, well. What's the other thing you can do here? Zip button. Zip button will allow you to compress all these into a zip file. If you're going to send this out, you're like, I don't know if it's going to go in. Zip button will allow you to compress that. Let's come back to ND attach. I want to take the letter to Craig Bayer and send it to someone who works at my law firm. Email link. Email link is internal. Only someone that works at my law firm can open this up. It's super secure and there's no file size issues. And then last, but definitely not least, ND attach. Come over to ND attach right here. And I can grab all these documents and use secured link over here. Now let's hit insert. Secured link is external. There are no file size issues here. And we get the option of password protecting the link. I'm going to now leave everything the same. No password there. Link expiration date will be 1 month from today. We'll hit attach. There we go. So the files with the download all. All All right, there's a question about saved searches. I'm going to get to that at the end. I'm going to stick on to emails right now, just because we're in the email section. Let's talk about saving email. Now, realistically, there are two ways of saving email. Let's open this up here. There we can kind of get out of my. There is the ND save button and the ND mail button. What is the difference about those? ND save, you tell NetDocs where the email should go. ND mail, NetDocs tells you. This is the computer telling you where to save the email. So I have this email right here from Craig Bayer, and NetDocs thinks it's at one of these matters. If it's at this matter here, I can just check the box and hit file, and that email is automatically saved there. The whole point of ND mail was to make it super quick and easy to save emails. I'm not filling out comments. I'm not changing the doc type. I am just saving it very quickly. If you need to be a little more detail, save to the ND save button will allow us to come over here, choose the client cabinet, and then profile, add comments, change the doc type, stuff like that. So that really is the difference. ND mail is pretty much the future of NetDocs. I think all the features from ND save will eventually just be built into ND mail. You can have multiple cabinets. I've got my clients, prospects, client demo. This plus sign allows you to add any cabinet that you are using ND mail from. And then let's save this here. We'll just hit file. I'll explain that in a second. How do we know this email was saved? Either by ND save or ND mail. Once it's saved, a little check box will be checked there, letting you know that that email has been saved. NetDocs is fantastic about deduping. So let's just say 4 people at my office were on this email. One person saved it. Checkbox appears in everyone's Outlook. NetDocs basically prevents you from accidentally deduping an email. Let's come over to the end email settings here and explain why mine might be a little different than yours. And by the way, I would say that now I would say 90% of law firms have end email. When filing, move messages to. Now I use this all the time. After I save an email via ND mail, I have it moved to a folder called Save to NetDocs. So that's how I set that up here. I also said don't move sent items because I want my sent items to just be my sent items. I don't want anything out there. Prompt to file outgoing messages once. We'll go over this when we go over sending email. Enable attach match. This is a newish feature to NetDocs. I send a document to a client, they make changes to it and send it back to me. NetDocs realizes where that attachment came from and will version it in NetDocs for me. Pretty cool. Conversation filing, I never use it. Okay? Pre-select the filing location when other messages of the conversation are filed. So if I'm going back and forth with someone 20 emails, yeah, NetDocs will automatically save all 20 emails into the system. I don't want to do that. I just want the last email. Enable one-click filing. Well, let me hold off on that. Show relevancy rankings. That is the little bars right here are the relevancy rankings. One-click file is this. If I select this email and then I click on something else, it automatically files there. Like I don't have to hit the word file anymore. Now, when saving emails to either places, let me select all these emails here. Save to. We're saving all these emails at once. There is a pencil here that lets me change the name of an email. before I save it to NetDocs. Okay. And then if same thing with end email here, there's a rename here so we can change the name of the email before it gets in. All right. Saving email, fairly straightforward. We got a lot of great ways of doing it. Let's come over here to this email. I don't care about this email. All I care about is this document here, drop down, save to NetDocs. That would save this document to NetDocs, not the email. Let's see here if I have one with, okay, I have this email. It has 2 attachments in it. Okay. That's attach match, by the way. So we sent this to someone. NetDocs realized this came from NetDocs. I mean, it helps that there is a doc ID right here and it's saying, hey, do you want to save this as a new attachment? And it's showing you where the file is and everything like that. It's pretty cool. If I want to save these 2 attachments at once, I'm going to come up to the ND save, and everyone watch real closely. I'm going to change it from the envelope to a paper clip. When I do that, I am just saving the attachments. I am not saving the email. All right. Now, I'll go over this because we have time and it's pretty cool. All right, I've got a folder called Massive Dynamic in Outlook right here. Okay. I have a matter in NetDocs called Massive Dynamic. I'm going to right click. Crap, I don't have it. I have it turned on because this is not my training computer. All right, just trust me. Folder mapping, most of you could right click and go to folder mapping, and you could map a folder in Outlook to a location in NetDocs. By the way, it sucks. I can't show you because, I mean, I'm not really even that upset because I was able to still do the training without it. How to map folders in NetDocs. I mean, there's just extensive articles about on our webpage of us managing folder mapping. So you set it up here. You can do this on a Mac. You can do it in Outlook, WebEx, everything. There's a video of me doing it too that explains how it actually works. That's on NetDocs tips of our website. But again, what folder mapping is doing is saying, hey, take this folder here and mapping it to a location in NetDocs. So anytime I come in and drag something from here into this folder, it automatically saves in the NetDocs. Maybe really good for some of your attorneys that are like, I'm not going to use NetDocs, or they have some NetDocs issues. That kind of speeds it up for you. All right, let's come over here. Let's check prompt to file outgoing messages once. New email. Let's send this to, oh, that's a real person. Okay. Your training is boring. I mean, I've only done it a billion times, and I couldn't even spell boring correctly. All right. I'm sending an email to someone. I hit send. NetDocs is flashing. That's this setting right here. Prompt to file outgoing messages. I'm putting once. If you change this to always, every email you send must go into NetDocs. Don't think anyone wants that, so let's change it to once. But it just warns you. So how do you save an email? We would check the box here next to the matter and hit send, and then this email is going in here. There is a rename, so you could do, oh, your training is actually exciting. So that's what it would go in the name. It's different than the subject. If the matter does not show up here, click on the magnifying glass and you could type in anything and do a search, and it will look through NetDocs for that actual matter. And now when we hit send, it will just be saved there. Any questions at all about NetDocs before we get to the very end? And I am going to answer the save search question. Any questions at all about NetDocs and Outlook? All right. Right before, let me come over. Where's the best way to see this? Yeah, I know this is, but let me grab this real quick. Yeah, and of course everything's sped up now, so it works. All right. Who has to upload documents to websites? Everyone, right? All right, perfect. So I'm on a website, maybe a court website, maybe Pacer, something like that. I click Browse Files. That's bad. It's using Windows Explorer. All my documents are in NetDocs now. So I'm going to come over to this little square ND here in Google Chrome, and I'm going to click Connect Website to NetDocs. Now I'm going to hit Browse Files. Look what happens. NetDocs pops. How do you get this Chrome extension? It should automatically be installed when ND Office is installed on your computer. A lot of reasons people don't see it is if they come over here, there's no thumbtack next to this. If you don't see it here, if you come over to Manage Extensions, sometimes it's off and you just got to turn it on. And that will give you the Chrome extension. It allows you to upload anything from NetDocs into any website. All right, home stretch. So this is what my homepage looks like. Okay. This is my NetDocs homepage. NetDocs, and we'll come over to Matters Recent. This would be the last 20 matters you've been in. There's a star next to everything. So if we click the star next to Massive Dynamic and we come back to our home page, Massive Dynamic is now a favorite workspace. Just drag it up to the very top here. So every document, every folder, every filter, every cabinet, every save search has a star by it. If you click on the star, it shows up on your home page. Under the word home, I'm going to click Edit Layout. You can create sections here. So I created a section called NetDocs Implementations, moved all the clients, removing NetDocs into that. Implementation's complete. After it's done, we drag it there. I created these sections. Let's come over to column 1. Greg's cases going to trial, add. Create a new section. Let's drag it to the top of column 1 and hit save. See? So now I can drop it in there. Under the word home, edit layout, you can create all these sections. And then there, you can drag stuff too. Now, when I'm done, I'm just going to unstar this. It's not deleting that matter. It is just going away. It's still, I can come over to go to matter and get to it. It's just no longer on our home page. And just realize when you are going through in NetDocs, if you're going to attach anything, if you're going to save anything, when we do our save here, what is the first option? Home. So if we click on home, you're going to get everything that you've put on your home page as a location there. And even if we come over here to clients, anything you've favorited there, that'll just give you a jump ahead on saving stuff. So I highly recommend you customize your home page. Now we've got time, a little off the subject, but I'm going to answer this question. How do you create a save search? So realistically, there's 2 ways. I'm going to go into NetDocs. I'll go into our client demo. I want to get everything created in the last 5 days. That's a -5. And then I'm going to hit search. This is everything created in the last 5 days. Search results, save search. And then I have create, like it's even smart enough to say that. So then I'm going to hit OK. And I will click the star next to it so that this save search shows up on my home page. Now, this is going to get a little more detailed here, but how do I have all those 7 unique saved searches on my cabinet under define work? I'm not training you how to do it because it's too detailed, but define workspace templates here in NetDocs, I created all these. Basically, what I'm saying is every time a new matter is created, create all these save searches here. So there's a place in NetDocs to actually do that. Towards the end of the year, we'll be doing a workspace design training course, and I'll kind of go over that there. It's just for Windows training that's a little in depth, but that does answer the question, hopefully, how do I create a workspace or save search in NetDocs? But there's a way to automatically create those, and then you could do them ad hoc as well. Does anyone have any questions about NetDocs Windows training? Anything I didn't go over that they just have a question? Basically a NetDocs Windows training question just to keep it on topic. Let's see if oh, wait. All right. All right. Sorry. I guess the chat did not, I missed all this. How to configure ND always to appear the last modified date instead of having to click on it all the time. That's interesting, okay? Because by default, NetDocs should be defaulted to the last modified date. So for example, let's open up Massive Dynamic. Okay. We are looking at everything by mass modified date. Let's go into the agreements filter. We are looking at everything by last modified date. Now, the only exception there is folders. If I go into the pleading folder, I'm looking at it alphabetical order. Okay. So, and I've actually set up all my folders in NetDocs to be alphabetical, all my filters to be last. You can't change filters, but you can change folders. So under the pleadings folder, there is a sort order. Default sort order is by name. Okay. But I mean, workspace and filter should always be last modified date. If you want to change your folders, it's built here, but I set my folders to be alphabetical because that's what I wanted. It's a cabinet setting. Gosh, and I haven't set up one of these in a while. Just Milica here. Foldering. Default folder sort field by name. You could change this to last modified date. So that would be the option there. Now that's only going to go going forward. You'd have to actually change everything beforehand. Hopefully that answers the question. Let's just go through these chats. And again, I'm sorry I didn't see these when we were going through them. Okay. How do you get the previews to show on the search results page? Okay. So, and I'm going to go through all these. So if I do a search, all right, let me switch this to my demo. Everything created, we'll do like this, -10 here. All right, now there's a couple things here. If I check the box here, what I need to do, and there's this little box here I need to make sure is checked. All right. And then when I come over and select this, I get the preview. Okay. So that's how I preview that. You have to first off have something selected. So if I don't see it. The minute I check an item, I see it. You're probably set to the details. So I got to toggle it back up to the preview and then I see it. That's how I get that. If hopefully that's what you were asking. They're still on the call. Um, would you give us a link to that cheat sheet? All right. You're talking about this. I mean, this is in the manual, but I'll just create it as a blog post. Okay. So just go to NetDocs tips in the next day or two, and I'll just create that as a blog post. Should have been created a blog post a while ago on the search options, and I'll go into details on it. So I'll pull that out and make it its own page. It's in the NetDocs manual. Everyone will get a copy of the manual with this video. Um, so how to configure NetDocs to always appear the last modified date. Again, a couple of things there. It should be doing that. I think just send me an email, more questions about that. It's only the folder, and that gets into cabinet settings. So in the cabinet settings, there is a area called folders that allows you to change the folder sort. So if you have to go in, you have to be a NetDocs admin, open up the cabinet, and in there, there's an actual configuration to change that. Um, Again, if we go into admin, you would have to open up a cabinet, and it's only changing folders, filters, and the workspace should be organized by last modified date. So it was under foldering, default folder sort right there. That's how you would change it. But again, I mean, again, this is where I have most people are using filters anyway. So, but hopefully that answers that.